I'm Africa Harrigan. Welcome to Legit's special presentation highlighting women in the 30th Legislature. Joining me is Senator Janette Millin Young, and today we're going to find out who she is as a woman, as well as what are her goals for the 30th Legislature. Senator, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here with you.
Awesome. What made you want to become a senator?
You know, the funny thing is, it wasn't a lifetime dream. I grew up in a political family. As you know, my grandmother was the first woman elected in the first legislature of the Virgin Islands. My father is a former lieutenant governor. So I knew the sacrifices and I knew the tough life that politics will bring to you. So it wasn't a lifetime dream, but I wanted to be at the table. I participated in party politics, wanted to be a committee member when they said that wasn't enough. You know, members of the party said, we need a younger breed to come up and sit at the table.
Now, this is your second term as a senator. What would you do differently than your last term as a freshman senator?
Well, what I'm doing differently already is that I'm already more out in the public. As a freshman senator, I did a lot of desk work, and I did go to the schools because, as you came with me, you know that I visited all the schools in the territory. The children knew me by the time election rolled around again. Their parents didn't know me as well as their children, but I think they went with their children's choice. And this year, or this term even, I am more in the outskirts of the legislature versus my desk because it calls for it. I am at more business meetings because as chair of the Economic Development Committee, I have to be out there. So that's the difference.
Do you have any short-term goals as a senator?
Well, I want to effectuate some change in the business industry because we want to change the business model of the Virgin Islands. It has been heavily focused on government versus private industry, and how we progress as any society is by making a strong private industry. So I'm really happy to be chairing this committee because I believe that in talking to the business community, in talking to prospective business persons and entrepreneurs, we can get this territory rolling again. Obviously, one of the biggest things that we have is energy, the high energy costs, and that's keeping some of our businesses from even having their doors continue to be open, and that is going to be a major focus for me. I never campaigned on it because I don't make promises I can't keep, but that is certainly something I'm working on it.
In today's society, how do you balance being a senator, a mother, and a wife?
In today's society, or any society, anytime you need a strong family foundation, and I totally could not be here today if I didn't have family members who understood the work and the time that it takes to do a job like this. And even my son, who just celebrated his 13th birthday last week, he comes around with me a lot. If you don't know my son, then you don't know me. He's always with me. And especially when I was education chair, I had so many activities that I had to participate in that it was children oriented anyway. And now he's just older and he can still hang around with me. But when I can't have him, my mother, my sister, my husband, they are always there. Somebody is always going to take over. And that's why I'm always advocating when I'm among other women. Listen, women, you need to help each other because work calls sometimes, and your children need to be protected and they need to be taken care of.
Do you think that there is enough women in power here in the Virgin Islands as well as in the United States?
Well, I have to say no. I don't think there are enough of us. I'm very happy that in this legislature we have 5 women. But for a long time, it was only 1 woman or even 2. And in the last legislature, I believe we had 3, and so now we're up to 5, and it needs to continue growing because women make up about 55% of the voting public here. So we shouldn't just be 1/3. We need to step up and take our places at the table on the political front, and then on the business front as well. There are not enough executive directors. There are not enough presidents of corporations here in the Virgin Islands that are women. So we need to change that.
I know this might be a little bit far-fetched, but do you think that one day in the United States we might have a woman for president?
Well, you might think it's far-fetched, but I don't think it's that far. You see so many more women are now stepping up to the fore and are running for political office. We don't know if Mrs. Clinton will be trying to get the nomination for the Democratic Party, but we saw many women run for the Republican ticket last time. We're going to see more women, and the more women run, the higher the chances are that one will get elected. So it's really not that far-fetched. Again, we really hold the voting power. We need to act like it.
How do you prepare for your Senate meetings?
You know what? Every meeting is different, and it depends what is on the agenda. It might call for me to just do a lot of book reading. Other times I get on the phone. If I know what area it's in, I'm going to call stakeholders in that area. I gather around with my staff, and I don't think I'm the smartest one out of the entire Virgin Islands. So I want to hear ideas from other persons as well. And the funny thing is, our Virgin Islanders are reading the paper more and watching legit TV. They see you all the time. They know what's on the agenda, and they pick up the phone and they call. And I just want to continue to encourage Virgin Islanders to call us and let us know how they feel, because I may have a line of questioning that is important to me, but if a lot of people call and say, this is what's important to us, well, then that's what's important to me.
Teamwork always helps.
Indeed.
Okay, so you had a long Senate hearing or a Senate meeting. It's been 8 or 10 hours. How do you de-stress?
Oh my goodness. You know, for men, usually they want to go hang out. For me, I want to go retreat to my home. And I thank everybody, and I proceed to my house, and just being home and in my, and it's not a palace now. I live in an apartment, but it's my space, and my space is very sacred to me.
What other community organizations are you involved in?
You know, I was very active prior to becoming a senator, but I go when I can, and I'm a former president of the Rotary Club of St. Thomas. I'm very proud of that, because I've been in the club for about 16 years. They know I'm busy, and they turn my membership into honorary until I can actually get myself together to come to their weekly meetings. Weekly meetings are very important, as you know. It is when you bond with one another that you're able to work, and it's volunteer work. So you want to get to know your members and feel comfortable in doing this volunteer work. I'm also a lifetime member, obviously, of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and a board member currently of the Nana Baby Home Foundation. And all these things, one thing that they have in common is that all these organizations that I belong to all focus on children. And to me, it's almost like accident, because I didn't plan to pledge Delta and then join Rotary and then do Nana Baby Home. It's almost like a calling, and I'm very, very fortunate to have membership in these organizations, because without these organizations, government couldn't do all that it does. So
you would definitely recommend that more women participate in more community organizations.
And you hit, yes, exactly what you're saying. Again, and not to be sexist, but it's obvious. Men can go to the bars, men can hang out. They don't have to call home and find out, you know, how is the child being taken care of, but we do. You know, we have a call for a conference before we can book that flight. We want to know, well, are you going to be home, or who's going to be able to take over this? So it's really important that we focus on, you know, we focus on our homes, but we also focus on networking opportunities, and that is outside of the home and outside of the office. And so being able to be a part of a social organization or a nonprofit charitable organization opens up a world of opportunities to meet others, tell them what you're doing, sell your ideas, and then very importantly, having people give you feedback. Well, I don't know if that's a good idea because, or that is an excellent idea, and I know who can help you get that done. Networking is all about making sure to sell your ideas and see who can help you move, because you can't do it by yourself.
Do you think that if more women were in power, poverty would decrease, homelessness will decrease, and other world issues?
Well, I believe that women, by our very nature, are nurturing, and so I can't see situations where someone is being taken advantage of or somebody is suffering and sit quietly by. You know, I listen. My mother jokes about it because she calls me Mary Justice in Spanish because she's Puerto Rican, and she calls me Maria Justicia because if I see somebody being taken advantage, I see something happening, I will pick up the phone, and now we just put it to our ears, a cell phone, and I will call the police. We have to be our brother's keeper. We have to be our sister's keeper. And as women, I think that nurturing aspect of us, it calls us to want to do more for others. And I know men are going to call me after this interview and say, well, what about us? But that's just my simple opinion.
What is your advice to young women in the Virgin Islands? Since I'm sure you're a role model, of course. So as a role model, what is your advice to young women in our community?
I guess my advice to them would be as it is for the young men, and it is to remain focused. I know that with peer pressure, everybody wants to have how many boyfriends or how many girlfriends. And when you're in school, I always tell them, listen, I'm 43 right now. I'm not afraid or ashamed to say it. When I was in school, I wasn't worrying with boyfriends. I really wasn't. It wasn't something that was a top priority for me. Now, don't think I didn't go to parties and dances and, had a great time. But I was really focused on my studies. I knew where I wanted to go. Communications was huge, and I was able to graduate and go on to college, and that's exactly what I did. Majored in communications, broadcast journalism. Now, it happened that we had a hurricane, and we had a CBS affiliate here. I don't know, you're probably too young to know, but it went away with Hurricane Hugo. And that changed my world because then I moved away from broadcast journalism into public relations. So again, it's always been a calling for me to talk to people, to be an organizer, and children's programs. That's just been my life.
Other than your mom, who else is your role model? Like, who do you look up to?
And she's been gone a long time, but my mother's mother. That is a grandmother that I don't often speak about, but she had a lot to do with my demeanor and the way she was just a go-getter. She did not stand for crap. She would put you in your place, and she was so smart. She was a nurse by profession, and somewhat politically involved, just as not as my grandmother here in the Virgin Islands. My grandmother in Puerto Rico was a nurse for the mother of a former governor over there. So she was also politically inclined, and so it makes sense, right? After all, when you think about it, that I would end up in politics.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, Senator, for any young woman in the Virgin Islands who wants to become a senator, what advice would you have for her?
There's really no other preparation than just doing the right thing. As you pick up the newspaper, it doesn't matter if it's locally, regionally, or even nationally, you'll find that persons weren't doing the right thing before they got into office, or become corrupt once they come into office. And what people are looking for is honesty, because as I've found out, people are not looking for perfection. They want to know that you are coming in to do the job that they need you to do. And all it takes is preparation. Go to school, learn your English language, your math, because when you come in here, there's a lot of adding and subtracting, whether you think about it or not. And just keeping the right company, that is so important. When I did the graduations last year as education chair, my one ringing theme was, mind the company you keep. I said, chicken don't fly, eagles do. And so stick with people who are just rising and doing the right thing, because my friends, as I was growing up, we didn't say to each other, listen, Africa, stick to your studies, do what you're supposed. We didn't do that. But we were in the company of each other, and we all knew that we wanted to excel. Today, among my group, my peers, we have other politicians, we have judges, we have attorneys, we have people who are heading their own companies, and it's because of the company you keep. If you're gonna start hanging out with somebody who you think is in things, but ain't going nowhere fast, you yourself will go nowhere fast. So never be afraid to be around someone who may be deemed smarter than you, because you want to be around that person because you want to learn something. You don't want to have people who are beneath you in thinking standards and then they pull you down. Always pull each other up. And I think my success is not just because of my upbringing with my parents, but because of the peers that I chose to be around as well.
Thank you, Senator, for joining us.
Thank you for asking me such introspective questions I don't even think about on a daily basis.
And thank you for tuning in to our coverage of Legit TV's Women's Special, highlighting Senator Janette Millin Young. I'm Africa Harrigan for Legit TV.